Please don't hate me.
I don't think I could live without you.
Not like this. Just know how much I love you. I just want to pull up on your skin and crawl inside you. You know, the only one in DDLC who had a quick death was Natsuki, really. Sayori was trying to claw her way out of her noose, and you watch as Yuri bleeds out on the clubroom floor, life leaving her eyes as you click through endless, meaningless text. How did we get here? Why is this Yuri's fate? And is there something we can even learn from it? Hello, and welcome to my observatory. My name is Lumanescent, or Luma for short, and today we're talking about the Lavender Lady of Mystery, Doki Doki's very own Shrinking Violet, Yuri. Yuri is a lot more popular than Natsuki is, at least as far as I've seen. And she's also not nearly as divisive either. I mean, it's the same sliding scale of you either like Yuri or you don't, but I feel like a lot more people just simply like Yuri and take no issue with her, which is really interesting in comparison to someone like Natsuki. They're on opposite ends of the color spectrum, pink versus purple. They have very polar opposite interests, manga versus fantasy novels, and they act completely differently. Or do they? They have completely different problems. Or do they? Now, I don't want to make this video about everyone but Yuri. However, it is important to point out her role in rounding out the cast. Not just because it adds context to her character and colors, but because it's essentially a demo of ideas and concepts Monika's design will be reusing. Yuri doesn't just contrast Natsuki. She also does so with Sayori, giving the romanceable trio plenty of push and pull, while still standing out from everyone in the process. And since we're talking about it, it's about time we talk about her main color, purple. Purple combines aspects of both red and blue, mixing in the passion and warmth from red with the coolness and expression of blue. This then results in purple representing royalty, romance, creativity, fantasy, and even some mystery. This purple color, combined with her long, flowy hair, come together to create someone shrouded in the color of mystery. Which is interesting, because no other character in the game has a cool tone for their color scheme. Or at least, it's not very predominant. In addition, every character up until now has had a secondary red color to accompany their design, and tie the cast together, a common technique in character design to signify people as being in a group. But besides the uniform, Yuri has no such thing. All of this does serve her character. It's a paradox of recognition. Just as her hair clip breaks the trends and blends into her hair, she also breaks trends, but somehow still blends into the background of every other character. She doesn't follow most of the other consistencies, and still she sinks into the background, because she isn't nearly as loud or expressive either. A common repeating theme throughout DDLC is eyes, and of course, in the lore, there's the ever-prevalent third eye. And so, her secondary color ends up tying to everyone else through eyes. As a result, this makes Yuri a part of the trio, even if it's not as prevalent as one would hope. Since all this is the case, since Yuri is so reserved and understated in this triangle of characters, it invites a deadly curiosity towards her in particular. What is she hiding? Composed is the word that describes Yuri at first. She's much more reserved and polite than either Sayori or Natsuki on the surface. It's this exact image that immediately breaks due to her being easily embarrassed. She's only pulled back when she's talking about books, and it's made evident that she finds her place in the vast worlds of fantasy, whether whimsical or obscene. It's this exact aloofness that gets showcased in her first scene with the player. While Maine is freaking out about being so close, it's like Yuri doesn't even know he's there. It's a stark difference from Natsuki, who's incredibly expressive when it comes to her feelings. Yuri looks almost subdued, and the conversation remains pretty casual despite the intimate circumstances. She does warn, however, that she begins acting differently after reading one of her books, especially the one she reads with you, entitled Yuri isn't quite as shy as she appears. She can be a confident person, assertive even. It's just that she limits herself so as to not distress others. We even see this with her first poem. She talks about normally writing more, but how she wanted something easier to digest. And even then, she feels like she fails to do so, which I imagine wasn't helped by the argument with Natsuki. But Maine insists on giving her time, consideration, and patience. And, in turn, she chooses to be patient with him as well. The next scene emphasizes the growing intimacy in her relationship with Maine as the wall between them begins to melt. Where previously Maine was the only one freaking out, now Maine's insistence completely rips off the veil, not allowing her to escape. And so, her head full of smoke, she asks him to continue. And that goes on as well as the two begin to explore intimacy in a way neither of them have experienced. It's almost never Maine who insists on these things, as the nerves always seem to settle into him first. But for Yuri, she dives in, allowing her undivided attention and imagination to switch targets, if only for a moment. And that is simply not what a shy person does. She's just used to putting herself out there and being rejected, forced back into books, back into fantasy. She even tells us this when she talks about how she sits alone during lunch. In the same way that no one engages with Natsuki's manga because it's not respected, Yuri's novels don't get engaged with because they're too dense. Too respectable, if that makes sense. But connection without judgment draws her back in, allowing her walls to come down and reveal some of what's going on inside. Like with the weekend scene. It's here where she talks about her interest in knives, their beauty, her collection of them, and how the story shows how naturally she uses them. For better or for worse. If you are sensitive to the topics of self-harm, here is a timestamp to skip it. Thank you. Previously, it's only insinuated that she's interested in knives in her poems, and shown if you choose her for the weekend. In Act 2, though, we catch her in the act. Though it's hard to tell if she's lying or not, the way Monica describes Yuri's self-harm is sexual in nature. Keep in mind, though, 1. Monica is an unreliable narrator, trying to make everyone undesirable by exemplifying their negative traits in extremes. And 2, with that being the case, this is likely somewhat true for Act 1 Yuri, but as an underlying problem, something she likely isn't proud of. The hints have been there for a while now, from her description of knives to her poem about the raccoon. It's easy to intuit it's describing her urges. Feeding the raccoon is giving into her urges, even though she knows that she shouldn't, that it's wrong, or at the very least not good for her, and yet she continues. It's an addiction. Brandishing the knife here is very literal, and the cutting of the bread is the cutting of her arms, which I think is very intentionally linked to imagery from the Bible. Now, stay with me here. In the Last Supper, Jesus offered up bread and wine. Bread symbolizing his flesh, and the body that was filled with the light of God. Take it and eat. The wine, then, was his blood, the vitality that would inevitably be shed for the sake of humanity's sin, sealing the covenant of eternal forgiveness the sacrifice was meant to accomplish. Take it and drink. So what might it say about someone who has connections to both bread and wine in the story? Someone who mentions third eyes, and seems to peer even beyond the screen, when she shouldn't be able to? Why is it that she has such a connection to Project Libitina? From matching up characteristics to seemingly a similar age, and of course the classic theory that all of the Dokis aren't even from DDLC originally. It's hard not to see this connection to bread and wine, and not see the clear attachments to religious imagery that is also reflected in Project Libitina. You see, Act 2 exemplifies all of Yuri's eccentricities into an almost unrecognizable person, and brings her issues to the forefront. Where previously Yuri only snapped at Monica out of nowhere once, she's got this sort of vendetta against her, almost like she knows something she shouldn't. Her little moments of plotting to hang out evolve into her being much more obsessive. Her shyness peels back, and all that's left exposed is the clingy, obsessive, and self-destructive insides. We watch as the layers of this composed, polite girl fade to insanity. She gives us poems covered in her scent, raves on about wanting our skin oil in her bloodstream, and seemingly stares straight through the MC and at us. Club president is always sentient, but who's to say the vice president isn't somewhat as well? They're next in line, after all. Sayori easily slips into the role at the end of the game, and she can even do it prematurely at the start if you delete Monica. Perhaps part of her depression, not seeing the point in doing anything, stems from a subconscious recognition of her worthlessness, in the grand scheme of things, born from a sort of semi-sentience. Perhaps then, Yuri's repeated foreshadowing, deja vu, and nods to the player and not the MC reveals she knows more than she leads on. Or it simply reveals how the structure of the club plays into how epiphanies work in-universe. Perhaps the fate of someone with a shred of this knowledge, but no way to deal with it, is always the same. Perhaps they, like the literature club as a whole, are doomed to self-destruction and unhappiness, so long as the game continues, so long as they're imbued with knowledge they shouldn't hold. And remind me again, what kind of god is Libitina? A god of death. The end of everything. Peeling back the layers of Yuri, it seems her fate, perhaps everyone's, was doomed from the start. These girls and whatever might be hiding in the crevices of this game were always meant to be sacrificial lambs, born to suffer and die, relearning the same old lessons in this vast expanse of eternity, so long as the game continues. However, there might still be hope. We can see the recognizable patterns, but people are deep, complex wells. More than the sum of their parts or the habits they've formed, they can do better. They can be better, as long as they try, and as long as we give them the time and patience to try. Given compassion, love grows like a weed, and unlike Yuri and the others, we have an opportunity to truly grow. And so, let Yuri be a warning, much like Sayori before her, to be considerate, and more than that, be patient with those around you. Thank you for watching. Until next time, this is Lumanescent, signing off. Stay awesome.